Wooden spooners for 86. And a good kick-off, not quite finding touch, and O'Brien is tackled, and in comes Illawarra with a three-man tackle. Is done, and immediately a penalty goes to Canterbury.
It was a good kick-off by Macklin Shaw. We haven't seen much of him, if any of him, on television before, but he's a young fellow. I can remember him playing Commonwealth Bank Cup, and he's got one of the longest kicking games in football, and I expect him to use it on plenty of occasions tonight.
Andrew Farrow playing in the centres in number 2. Terry Lamb. And that was a very quick ball out there to Chris Mortimer. It required a good tackle, and Brian Hetherington supplied it. This is Kelly with the headgear. Illawarra coach Brian Smith. Tunks got under a tackle from Carberry, but they come in 2s and 3s, and I'll tell you what, Illawarra might be rank outsiders in this match tonight, but I think somebody forgot to tell them. They're going in and they're hitting, as you just saw again, in 4s. They're not going in 2s, but in 4s.
Well, defence has never been one of their problems. They've got one of the best defensive records in the league. They've had no problem stopping points, but they've had all sorts of problems scoring them.
This is the fullback, Chris Macklin Shaw. Mannix, who played with the Canterbury club prior to moving to Illawarra. Here's the lower grades. Illawarra won the 23s 10-0 and the reserves 28-0. And again they use the kicking game. Curry gets underneath it. He's pulled down by Hardy originally. And coming in over the top was Worthington, the lock in 8 and Bolt in 12. The runaround is on for O'Brien. And Barnes has picked a high tackle from Mackey, Greg Mackey, the halfback. Swinging arm in the tackle, apparently. Let's have a look at it. Here it is on the 2-3 play. Steve O'Brien. Oh, yes, sirree. Mackey let go with a right. Tried to turn Steve O'Brien's hairdo into a crew cut. That's a good kick, isn't it, from Farrow? The tap will be taken about 30 metres out from the Illawarra line. Now let's see what they've got. Hagen to Lamb, and then he holds it back. Chris Mortimer is going to fade inside. 32-metre line on your screen. Langback. Got the man of the match award here last Monday. Played back to Bugden, stunned to Hagen, and then out very wide in 26 was Robbo. He's on the 22 line. Bugden, little dummy half run. 5-metre gain. Peter Smith coming over the top. He too was at Canterbury a couple of years ago. Bogdan groggily to his feet. Hagen, Lamb, cut out pass to Dunn, picked up by Langmack, put out the back to Lamb, knocked on by Lamb. This will be a scrum. So Balmain and Norths tomorrow night, eh? They played, I can recall, a cup final at Leichhardt in 76. And it held the ground record as far as cup finals were concerned for many years. Gee, it was a good game, Balmain and North. Curry. Long ball from Andrew Farrow out to Hagen, then to Lamb. But what's happening, the Illawarra outside backs, they're not frightened to go in and take a man, in fact, who's been overlapped.
In that respect, Ray, their defensive pattern isn't dissimilar to Canterbury's.
Yeah.
They just shorten their back line. They don't care about the winger or the outside centre. They leave them and they work on the premise that they're never going to get the ball anyhow if the line goes up quick enough.
That's not a bad kick by Lamb. It's been kicked into a very big space. Oh, Macklin, sure. Well, the closest person to him was the touch judge, and he was 35 metres away. Well, let's put it down to nerves. Hagen feeding the scrums and Lamb at 5/8, and this is Farah. Farah doing a little dipsy-doodle, getting between them, and Mortimer gets a quick ball to O'Brien. He comes to Hardy, gets inside the 22, in outside to Curry, and then it's into touch. Well, Canterbury's tactic here, and you've heard what Bill Anderson has said about the Illawarra defensive pattern. It's umbrellaing, if you like. It's umbrellaing and coming in. It's the long ball from the inside backs to find a winger unmarked that they've got to look for, and it's a tactic that a lot of teams apply against Canterbury. Now Macklin Shaw gets a kick in. And coming very quickly down the ground. Oh, and pulling a hamstring was Alan McIndoe. McIndoe was coming at 100 miles an hour, and he's pulled a hamstring in transit.
Well, if he's pulled a hamstring, he's going to have to leave the field, and that's going to be a big loss for Illawarra. I'm sure they were planning on using that sort of a tactic, the kicking game for their wingers, and McIndoe's got plenty of pace. He'll be a big loss.
This is Farah. The last person I saw do that in a rugby league game is Brian Smith looking around now at the bench to see who he's going to put on. McIndoe's going straight off. No, he's going to hang in there. Maybe only until they find a replacement for him. I can see somebody coming off the bench. Macklin Shaw putting the kick up very high, down towards the Canterbury 22. Oh, it's a bad bounce for O'Brien. Illawarra still in front of the kicker, and they stay outside that 5-metre perimeter. And Hardy makes the tackle on O'Brien. Graeme, who are they going to use over there, mate?
Stan Brown's out there in 16 at the present time, but I believe instructions have been sent into the back into the dressing rooms for another Illawarra player to rechange, put his outfit back on, and come back out to see Coach Brian Smith.
He thought the season was over.
I think he took an early shower. He's on his way back.
He hasn't had too much champagne.
He caught the 7:45 from Belmore to Wollongong. That's him going up the chuff-chuff line there right now. All right, so Canterbury get the penalty. Farah's kick is another beauty. Now Canterbury will take the tap on the Steelers 22. Two forwards going up. Kelly on the left, Tunks on the right. He's the man that met the defence. Peter Tunks. And Robinson goes up again for one. Lamb folding into dummy half, a job that he shouldn't have to do. This is Hagan now. He was heading back for the blind side, but the Illawarra defence came up. They might in fact be lining up a blindside hit, one that got them a try against St George in a similar part of the game last Monday night. Yes, here it comes. It's Tunks going up. He looks on the inside. He takes it to ground. That's 5. And they still might use this blindside. They might elect to run instead of kick. Kelly goes from dummy half. Hello, Kelly puts the grubber kick across the ground, and Brown it is with the ball. It's just looking at Illawarra marking up then, Bill Anderson. They thought that was coming too. They had plenty of troops there waiting for that blindside hit from Canterbury. This is Curry. Draws them and sends Campbell down the flank. Hetherington went high, paid the penalty. Not quite.
Illawarra aren't doing anything that you wouldn't expect. They're trying to kick the ball and pin Canterbury back in their own half, but the problem they're having is they've made just a few too many mistakes, given away a couple of penalties, and that's allowed Canterbury to get the ball back up into Illawarra area. When you're playing Canterbury, it's very important you keep them down in their own territory. They're a dangerous side. They put a lot of pressure on when they get up near your line.
Tunks now making ground down to about 12 metres out from the Illawarra line. Bugden done, and he's knocked on the big man. Had a fine game last Monday night, Paul Dunn, one of several top-liners in that game, but this ball was, well, I was going to say it was down around his knees, but it was a good enough pass for Paul Dunn to catch. No score. As Macklin Shaw makes a good run. He's taken play 25 metres out from his own line. Kick ahead now. And a very early tackle by Illawarra, put down the ground by Steve Worthington, and tackle with the ball is Curry for Canterbury. Lamb, Campbell. Sandy Campbell playing in jumper number 15. Hagan, Chris Mortimer. Upfield in 10 is doing a lot of tackling. Oh, good quick passing by the forwards, linking up with the winger O'Brien. He comes to the 22, he kicks, it came off the hands of Macklin Shaw, and Terry Lamb. Mr. Terry Lamb Esquire goes in for another try, simply because he follows the football. It stands to reason if you stay somewhere close to the football, you have got a greater chance of scoring tries than the fellow who stands back and simply barracks for one of his colleagues. Have a look at it. Steve O'Brien uses the kick to beat the last line of defence. Macklin Shaw throws his hands in the air, gets a touch, and automatically puts the ball onside. And Terry Lamb, even though he was behind the kicker anyway, he staggers over the line. Little Baba Lamb picks up another try.
Greg Mackey missed a tackle here in cover defence. He came across to take O'Brien, but O'Brien's got a very good fend. He used the right hand there to push him off. This was one occasion that I would condone the kick ahead. He couldn't get a good pass away. Lamb came through after the ball was touched, and that try by Terry Lamb, the best support player in the game, now makes him the leading point scorer in the Winfield Premiership.
Canterbury, prior to that try, had held the ball for 32 tackles. Illawarra just for 6 tackles. So Lamb, yesterday I put probably the biggest rap I could put on a footballer on Peter Sterling, but I've got this bloke rated at number 2 or equal number 1, let me tell you. Terry Lamb, what a great player. Much, much better than that kick. Here's the score. Canterbury 4, Illawarra yet to score.
The seasons change, but Milo will always stay the same. Build 'em up with Milo. It's marvelous what a difference Milo makes. Build
better than that kick. Here's the score. Canterbury 4, Illawarra yet to score. Back at Belmore, and you're just coming in on the tail end of an enormous kick by Canterbury, something like 55, 60 metres, finding touch, 8 metres away from the Illawarra line. That try for Terry Lamb takes him to the leading point scorer in league this year in Winfield Cup, 184, 1 in front of Greg Alexander. Hagan still holding it at halfback position as Macklin Shaw is tackled for the Steelers. Upfield, that's a good ball away to Hetherington. And now it's with Hardy. Chris Mortimer makes the tackle. Mannix thrown to the ground by Dunn. Graeme, you've packed into the Canterbury scrum with some mighty fine footballers, and you've played with some very good Canterbury backs. Lamb, in my opinion, must rate with the best of them.
He certainly does. That try just signified the way he plays rugby league. I had my eyes on Lamb as Canterbury set up that blindside move with Kelly and Langmack. When O'Brien was starting to motor away down that sideline, Lamb was about 10 yards in front of him, if you can understand that. What he had done, he realised where Canterbury were heading, so he said, well, I'm just going to crib a little bit here. I'll be upfield and I'll just read this play. He thinks, and the way that he plays the game of rugby league, the way he supports all the ball carriers and especially the forwards in this Canterbury pack, ideal tourist for the Kangaroo Tour of England. The man can play halfback, 5'8", any position in the back line really if he's required, and can also handle the lock forward position. One of the most valuable items running around in the Winfield Cup.
Here he is turning a ball inside for Curry to kick ahead. There may be a penalty come here. He's letting the advantage run. No, he's going to play a knock on. I thought for a moment Barnes was going to give a penalty for Curry needing some interference as he tried to pursue his kick. Sprung on by the Steelers. Away from Patterson, it's out to Hetherington, and Hetherington, he's lost it. Canterbury comes up with it. Gamble puts his foot on the accelerator. They won't want to let him get too far in front. He's tackled on the 22 line. Now Canterbury are fanned very wide out to the left, but Kelly takes a forward play. 12 metres out from the line. Still they're wide to the left. They'll use them for sure. Now it comes out to Hagan. He went to pass and decided to try and crack them himself. He's tackled right in the centre of the ground. Now they've got back lines on both sides of the park. Tunks decides to go himself. Flicks it out the back, and it went straight into the waiting arms of an Illawarra player. It was Seamus O'Connell. Hardy. All right, let's check the footy tab on this match. Here's John Croucher.
Yes, Ray, there's $37,000 in the dividend pool tonight for Pick the Result, and not surprisingly, perhaps nearly 90% of all of the entries have gone for the Bulldogs, and they've made the most popular score, Illawarra, to score 6 points, Canterbury 24.
Thank you, John, and thanks for your help right through the year. Carberry's playing in 9. And, Peter Smith in 13 for the Steelers. Big Peter Tunks. When he's lost it, it'll be a penalty. It is. Penalty going to Canterbury. He's ruled that the tackle had been made and they stole the ball after that. Kicking for the line. He should find it down near the 22. Well, let's take an update on the condition of David Gillespie. Here's Graeme with the Canterbury doctor.
Hugh, David Gillespie, that work accident, I believe he's undergone microsurgery to try and save a finger.
Yes, my information from the hospital, Graeme, is that the microsurgery at this stage looks to be successful. The arteries have been repaired. The finger was also fractured, and he has got a pin in that finger.
So how long is he expected to be out?
Well, in normal circumstances, you'd expect that the fracture would be about six weeks probably before that heals. But as far as the microsurgery is concerned, the next couple of days will tell the tale.
So he's likely to be out of the semi-finals for the man himself, David Gillespie. What about his Kangaroo Tour prospect?
Well, at this stage, given normal healing circumstances, one would only hope that he would still be fit to be able to play by the time the Kangaroos are ready to play their first match.
OK, Hugh, thanks for taking time out to join us.
Thanks.
Ray, I'm pretty sure that you would find that one David Gillespie, affectionately known as Cement out Canterbury-Bankstown way, would be watching this game tonight. I'm sure we send him all our best.
Sure, Graeme, yeah. Yes, David, good luck to you. It's a bit of a blow for you, I know, but you'll find there's ups and downs in life. That's only a minor dipsy-doodle, old boy. Bugden, Lamb, Hagan, Farah, O'Brien going for the corner. Oh, easy. Oh dear, Chris Macklin-Shaw had him in his sights. He had the sideline to help him. But Steve O'Brien went, well, he put a little bit of an in and away into his work, and then he beat the Illawarra fullback so easily. So it was simply a case of Canterbury pushing the ball out wide, then that long cutout pass. And he comes to the fullback after beating the winger. And O'Brien went in for one of the easiest winger tries that he'll ever score.
This was a well-constructed try by Canterbury. There were two cut-out passes. Firstly, that one behind a man's back, and the second one in front of the face of a player. The ball went onto O'Brien. I thought Macklin-Shaw probably played into O'Brien's hands. He got flat-footed. Instead of coming forward to make the tackle on the man, that gave O'Brien enough room to move, and he scored the Bulldogs' second try.
Steve O'Brien came from the Moorebank Rams.
By the way, I don't think that Warren Ryan had swapped Steve O'Brien for too many wingers in Sydney.
Terry Lamb will be hoping to get this one away better than the previous attempt that he had. 22 metres out, a couple of metres in from touch. Former Dally M Player of the Year, Terry Lamb. And Dally's coming up in a fortnight. There she goes. It's coming around, but not quickly enough. No goal. Scoreline, Canterbury 8, the Steelers yet to score.
This Father's Day, send something special. Exquisite chocolates through Interchocolate. Order your Father's Day chocolates now by phoning 008 030 166. Gift packs can be delivered locally or to anywhere in Australia. Interchocolate will deliver them, along with your personalised card, to your father's door. Send Dad chocolates on his special day. Phone this number now, 008 030 166. It's in the phone book under Interchocolate.
Dino Music presents the great Roy Orbison.
Pretty woman, walking down the street, pretty woman.
It's all of his greatest hits on one sensational album.
Working for the man.
Hit after hit, an album of solid gold you won't want to miss. The Roy Orbison Story, now available for the first time on record or cassette, but it's in stores for a short time only, so don't miss it. Out now from Dino Music.
8-0 in favour of Canterbury. There's the scoreline as we welcome you back to Belmore Sports Ground, and it's Illawarra down on their own quarter. It's O'Connell who's tackled by Robinson and Tunks. And it's Peter Smith now back to his own 32. We just updated the amount of possession that's out on the full. It hit the line. During that commercial, incredible statistic. Canterbury had held the ball for 50 tackles. Illawarra for only 15. And as you saw just that little puff of chalk go skywards, it was out on the full. 15 tackles. There's been 21 minutes of football, and that, of course, is brought about by Illawarra kicking the ball on the first and second tackles. Now it's Michael Bolt. Smith.
And the lesson within there, Ray, is that it's all well and good to kick the ball, but after you've kicked it, you've got a second job to do. That's to chase it, not make mistakes, and pin the opposition in their own half. And Illawarra, have sure they've had the kick, but they've just come up with too many mistakes after that.
Well, Barry Barnes has ruled the pass from Paul upfield to Brown as forward. The pass there is the one that he ruled forward. The Illawarra players are slightly nonplussed. Here's Lamb with a ring of red and white around him, and Patterson comes in strongly with the lock Worthington. Chris Mortimer. Put down by Brian Hetherington. Now it's done. They just keep coming, the Bulldogs. Carberry's working overtime in defence. That's to Hagan. Bugden. 25-0 was the first round result in favour of Canterbury. Here they are on their last tackle now. Tunks, Lamb. Rubber kept getting in behind the winger, but it's found touch anyway, and so it's scrum to go down about 18 metres out from the Illawarra line. We haven't seen the Steelers on television very much this season. They, of course, are sponsored by the big Australian, BHP. That, of course, should keep them pretty healthy. They're the only club that hasn't got the backing of a leagues club as such. This is Hardy. Apparently they've got a long list of associate sponsors, people on the coast who want to see Illawarra remain in the league and do well. Mackie, Patterson. Good ball from Worthington to upfield. Chris Mortimer's defence was equal to the task, and Brian Hetherington's there in attack. Campbell has his second go at tackling him, but Hetherington got the ball on for Brown, I do believe, who plays it out there in front of the Stewart stand. Mackey's kick torpedoes down the ground, and it finds the line. Just in advance of Tony Curry and just outside the 22 line. Canterbury's into the ground. Hagan. time, Graeme will talk with Steve Mortimer. Robinson. Lamb. Shaw. And that's all onside now, the moment he's played at the ball, and Curry tackled just outside the 22 line. Once he plays at the ball and fumbles it to the ground like that, even though it went behind him, players don't have to remain outside that 5-metre circle. Scrum 7-4 to Illawarra, penalties 4-0 to Canterbury. Some interesting stuff coming up for you at half-time with Steve Mortimer talking to Graeme Hughes, and that'll be followed at half-time by something that I must admit I couldn't see the perfect match between dancing horses and football. But the football crowd took to it. They loved it. Some beautiful Spanish Andalusians, I think they're called in horse terms. This is Langmack getting it away to Robinson. Robinson takes it down the ground, gets it back to Tunks. But the Notre Dame people have put together a fantastic show here tonight. We've recorded some of it to show to you at half-time. Here's Farah. Now Canterbury's on their last. All the time in the world to plug that ball down into that bottom corner. Gee, I tell you what, he didn't get much of a chase. No. Oh, Curry, he took that one safely, and he's tackled on the halfway line. Tackler was Patterson. Hagan.
It was a long kick by Macklin Shaw, and I do agree with the idea of putting the ball back to Canterbury and putting the fullback under pressure, but he's got to come up with a better directed kick. Tony Curry didn't have to move then. He's got to kick to a space and have a good chase after the ball.
That's Paul Dunn to play. Terry Lamb. Jeff Robinson. Back for Lamb. Good work by Robinson. Out to Chris Mortimer. Up comes the outside backs. In fact, Upfield was standing out there deputising for a centre. Away back on the left for Hagan, and now for Tunks, and Tunks decides to kick. It's gone inside the 10-metre line. Macklin Shaw gets a good bounce. Tunks is there to make the tackle. Coming in over the top was Terry Lamb. Mannix. Smith. Just watching the intensity, if I can use that rather common word in modern day rugby league talk, from Canterbury, Graeme Hughes. The forwards seem to hit harder and more often when they're playing against the big clubs. They're not going in and driving like we've seen from them in some of the matches this year.
Well, I think you've got to realise that their big hitters, their back rowers are not there. Gillespie and Steve Folkes, they're both out injured. They're the men that the side really rely upon, and I think the front rowers, the pair of Kelly and Tunks, tend to take a bit of a lift from those two, and they're the guys that lift the entire forward pack. Let's remember also they've had a hell of a lot of ball here, and for the life of me, I've got to agree with Billy Anderson. Kicking is one thing, but kicking just for the pure and simple sake of it is rather ridiculous, especially when you're giving it back to a side like Canterbury-Bankstown and in your own half.
Carberry, a handoff for Brown. 8-0 remains the score in favour of Canterbury. Greg Mackey puts a little kick over. Hagan read it well. Fell back, took it, and the tackle. Graeme, just checking, that winger on your side of the ground is Stan Brown?
Stan Brown is the man in 16, and the message that had been sent to the tunnel was for the under-23 player, Malcolm Kelly, who has got changed, and I guess Brian Smith might like to change him also at half-time for Brown.
All right, that's a forward pass from Tunks to Hagan. Was allowed to go. He floats the ball outside to O'Brien. O'Brien gets the pass to Curry. Curry's crawling along the ground and tackled 8 metres out from the line. Good work by Steve O'Brien. He's having a very big night. It's gone along the ground and picked up on the second bounce by Langmack, who decides to kick. He was pulled back by Bolt. Should be a penalty, and not. 8-0 in favour of Canterbury. That's the Tooheys Monday night scoreline. In favour of Canterbury. You're watching the last of Tooheys Monday Night Football for 1986. Patterson working with Mackie, who puts the kick across, and O'Brien is there. And here again is a case in point where
they've gone kick happy, these blokes. You know, they're just putting their foot to it all of the time, and the Canterbury wingers were obviously back then waiting for it. Kicking is good in football, provided you have the opposition defence in the position where it's to your advantage to kick, and that just hasn't been the case at the moment.
Played by Bugden, out to Lamb, who was very deep, and then he had 3 players lined up to run a wall, and now to forward. Well, he's got it, Bill.
He didn't get the last one.
I know he didn't get the last one.
And he pulled back an Illawarra one that wasn't forward.
All right, so 32 metres out from the Illawarra line. We see the forward pass on the Tooheys replay from Farah to Lamb. And Macklin Shaw held that pass back a little bit late, and it was knocked down by Campbell, picked up by Brown. Brown tackled just outside the 32-metre line. 8-0 in favour of Canterbury. Well, as the statistics show, they've had enough football to lead by 18 points to 0. And here's the ball lost in the tackle. Looking at the timepiece here, I reckon about 7.5 minutes in the first half remaining. A bit difficult working at Belmore from the hillside. We just can't quite see the timepiece or the scoreboard without almost poking your head out the front of the box. Penalty to Illawarra. Macklin Shaw takes the kick for line, and he fails to find it. So really nothing's going right for Illawarra. I tend to think that Brian Smith's game plan might have been made with good intention, but here's Paul Dunn opening them up, looking to his left for this man O'Brien. Langmack gets it away for Chris Mortimer, and they're now 25 metres out from the Illawarra line. They're fanned right across the ground to the right. Terry Lamb holds it back. Still in the centre of the ground. They can go either way. Hagan, Langmack, Curry's with him. Gets a one-hander back. Chris Mortimer knocks on. Has Michael Patterson got the ball? No, it's a knock-on. Yes, I was going to say, Brian Smith probably said, look, let's give these fellas something to catch. We'll turn them around and kick a lot. But heavens to Betsy, they've kicked, and Canterbury have come up with it in Illawarra's territory so many times. Now, Paul Langmack is the man that's been injured in that tackle. They're taking this scrum away from where Langmack is being treated. That was a directive handed down at a fairly recent meeting. And now a penalty goes to Illawarra for feet across against Bugden. Langmack, I'm just watching him. He's back in the defensive line fairly promptly.
Canterbury could ill afford to lose Langmack. They're